this video for part 2. I'm swirling inside the table that you see there on the schedule. It might be a little bit long for your APA at the sentence level section because I'm going to go over some common errors and revising your work. Some of the materials I'm talking about here are repeated from earlier lessons, as well as comments that I've made inside of journals. The repetition is deliberate because it helps, I think, when you're doing something new to do it more than one time. So the assignment document is linked here. And for this particular part of our semester, you should be focusing on steps 8 to 10 that you see right here. And so I'm going to skip on down, so forgive the scrolling because I know it can be a little bit dizzying in the videos. Steps 8 through 10 have us doing the comparison part of each of the annotations, the proposal part that will go at the end, and then the revision. I'm actually going to move that down a page because it would look better there. And the revision lessons are included here as well. The assignment for this particular section is going to count as a paper draft. I'll go into that a little bit more in a minute. So I'm headed back over to the schedule. The template you are also already familiar with. And inside of the template, by now the annotations have all been completed and you are writing the proposal. And the proposal length is based on the proposal lesson that I went over in a separate video. You'll delete all the other things in the template, but I do want you to read through the template because it actually has built-in lessons that go along with what I'm doing here. Okay. The document on revision that I'm about to go into is an update. There was a common mistakes document that was part of the lessons for last week. There is, again, some built-in repetition. Your directions at the top ask you to make your own copy of the document. Make sure you save it in your drive. And notice that it is a long document, so it has a table of contents down at the bottom that you can click in. I also took the feedback from the first annotation that everybody turned in. I had this message that went out on Blackboard. I copied and pasted it into the top of this document. And I used it to make sure that I had covered the information down here below in the rest of the document that I mentioned here in this list. So if you didn't get all of the editing done, or if you were confused about some of it with Journal 5, you should be able to fix it for Journal number 6 based on the lesson that you have in here. So for the document that you're looking at, it is long. And the reason it's long is because it's not all going to apply to every student. Maybe you don't have a source that has 3 to 5 authors. Maybe you don't have a source that has 2 authors. So you're going to pick and choose from what's in here to suit you. So if you get inside of a section and it doesn't look like it applies to you, you should skip what it says, but be very, very careful doing that. Check it and make sure that you don't need what's in here. You should pay very close attention in this document to the purple boxes. In the purple boxes, I have what's called a common error alert inside of each box. The boxes are showing what I've picked up on as the most frequent mistakes in APA. The next section here is on page numbers. I'm not going to go over everything in each section. I'm just going to go through the document and show you what's here. I try to address what I think are some of the patterns in student writing that can be hard to figure out if you're new to writing like this. So you have a couple sample sentences in here. And also what to do if there's a source within a source that you want to mention. It's called citing an indirect source. You also see down here that I'm writing about something pulled from a web page. The next section of this document is on quoting. There is a common error alert that I want everybody to pay very close attention to, which is the dropped or dangling quote. This is something we have talked about in the class before. A dropped quote is when a quote is just thrown between a couple of sentences without having what's called a signal phrase to introduce it. This right here is your signal phrase. As I've mentioned a number of different times, every time the last name of an author appears, the year appears directly after it. And every time you have quoted information, there should be a page number. There's more information that may or may not apply to you. If you have a long quote, 40 words or longer, you block it off. So if that doesn't apply to you, keep on moving. Editing inside a quotation is something I go over in this section. Like, what if you take words out or add words? This is how you do it. A lot of students get confused about quoting and how to punctuate. You should look at these examples because the word that, as weird as it might sound, the word that changes how we punctuate. It's because in the sentence itself, the word that will dictate whether or not you are using an indirect or a direct quotation. So you can see little X's for the where it's not written correctly and the green check marks for where it is. One common thing I've noticed in student writing is does a good job is a phrase that comes up a lot. It's a little bit too informal. For a better way of wording that, you could say that something is effective instead of saying it does a good job. If you think that you need to upgrade your vocabulary, or I say that you need to work on it, you might want to check out the link here. Common error alert on italics mentioned here, and titles. I'm going to be the first one to say it's confusing, and I don't even know why the rules exist for titling the way they are in APA. Why the title of an article isn't capitalized the whole way through, but the journal titles are, I don't know. But that's the rule, so I go over it here because most people don't pick up on this. This is not capitalized. The journal title is. This number 15 is capitalized. A lot of students miss it. If you get a comment from me that you need to work on commas with punctuation, pay attention to this. Here's a really good one that a lot of people don't know. The first time you use an acronym, which is an abbreviation, you're supposed to set it up like this. Like if I said at Old Dominion University, I would write it all the way out the first time and then put ODU in parentheses. And then you don't have to write it out from then forward. I have more on commas down here. If you have comma problems, look at this part. Another common error that I see in writing is making an apostrophe inside of a decade like the 1960s. Here's a kind of a funny meme that I like on what's called the Oxford comma. You might want to pause this and look at it, and I think you'll understand right away. The word however is often punctuated incorrectly in student writing. If you use the word however in your writing, you might want to look at this. And we're getting near the end of what I'm going to touch on here, verbs and passive voice. I want you to read through this section. It's not easy to explain. I will tell you passive voice is not past tense. It's completely different. It has to do with doing an action directly or indirectly. So I'm going to just go over the example and then invite you to look the rest up or read through this down here. An example of passive voice is this sentence: the gift was given to him by me. That actually sounds bad. A correction is he gave me the gift. So the action is the person giving the gift. It's passive when the person doing the action is at the end of the sentence like this, and the verb is set up like this. It was given to him by me. The gift was given to him by me. He gave me the gift. Wait, it should be I gave him the gift. Haha. It's so bad I didn't even I gave. Wait. No, he gave me the gift is right. God, it's so bad I can't even figure it out. Okay. Lord, I hate passive voice. I'll just leave it at that. Okay. More on verbs down here. And then, as though that wasn't enough, let's say you're just really going for it, or you're going to do APA a lot in your major. I have more down here. You're probably tired of this right now because it's so much. So you know what? I'm going to do the checklist in a different video because I don't like it when my videos get too long. So I'm going to stop this one here. And the checklist I'm going to go over is actually a lot shorter. And it's a checklist version of what you see in this document so that you can look at your final draft that you're turning in and go through with the checklist for revision. I'm going to go and do that now.